Hello everyone and welcome back to APPF1 Tier 2. We're joining in the middle of this qualifying session. There's about 7.5 minutes to go. We're here in Mexico for round 6 of this 10-race championship before Christmas. And looks like Muhiti is on provisional pole at the moment. Apologies, I am a little late. As Jacalaco smashes a lap out of the park, a 16.9. And Lawrence follows him, only 2/10 down. JB is out of the session. He has crashed on the entry to the pit lane by the looks of it, and he is going to be gutted about that. There's his car, the stricken McLaren. I think he's locked the rears trying to get into the pits, and that is his quali session over. Hello, Lil Manny Man in the chat. We are missing you too, man. Hopefully you're going to be back soon, because it's great to have you on the grid. But it's a Williams 1-2 at the moment. They are having a blast here in Mexico. They said it was going to be tough with no line, but at the moment they're not showing it. Great efforts from those two. Tier also retiring from the session. Has he done exactly the same thing as JB? Let's have a look. Yes, he has. Exactly the same error as his McLaren compatriot and fellow racer, and that is an embarrassing end to both of their sessions, unfortunately. Muhiti is in the final sector at the moment in that beautiful Ferrari with the white accents to the livery. Absolutely fantastic livery, that. One of my favourite Ferrari liveries in a long time. It's a shame it's just a special one for Vegas. Alex has invalidated. We're going to be seeing a lot of that today. What about Aces versus Kings? He's in the final sector at the moment in the Haas. See what he can do as he comes down towards the final corner now and accelerates on the exit down towards the line. It's a 17.2 that puts him into P3. Great effort from Aces, the former Tier 1 number 3. He was Season 2 of Tier 1, all the way back in the day. Aces finished in 3rd place in that championship, and he was a formidable opponent. And then he turned offline, and suddenly he wasn't so formidable. But he's been getting better and better with no line. And well, he's starting to get the results to show for it now. Crozer not improving on that lap, so he's going to have to go again. What about Robsu in the Alfa Romeo, the Finnish driver, coming off the back of 2 great efforts. I think it was P1 and P3, if I remember rightly, something like that for him in the last 2 rounds. I'm pretty sure he's had a double podium. It might be 1 and 4. I can't remember now, but he had a fantastic week a couple of weeks ago, and he's on form at the moment, is the Finn. So it's good to see him back on form, because he was fantastic in Season 7 of Tier 2 towards the end. And then Season 8, he was uncharacteristically down on what we know he can do. He's 3.5 tenths up in Sector 2, but it's nowhere near enough to challenge the top runners in this quali session at the moment. Around the final sector comes the Finnish driver, and to the final corner goes Robsu all the way to the line. DRS open, not quite across the line, but P8 for now for Robsu as he looks to continue his what is currently a title challenge. And his teammate is going to be looking to do the same, LB, who is back on the grid again today. 0.5 tenth up in Sector 1. He's currently 7.5 tenths down on Jacalaco, who's set an absolutely stonking lap in that Williams. Not long to go in the session, 3.5 minutes, so we're going to see the last runs coming pretty soon. RJ goes up into P7 in the meantime in the Mercedes. That's a great effort from him. As LB weaves through the S's. What's it going to be on the exit of Sector 2? It's going to be 5.5 tenths up for the British driver, the 2-time Tier 2 champion who loves his sandbags. Doesn't see a hint of irony in anything he posts, but round the final corner he goes to the line for LB. Is it going to be pole? No, it's only missing out by 17 thousandths of a second. Jack Alacco keeping that pole position for now. I don't think LB has got any time to go round again. He would have to recharge all of his ERS and go on the same tyres, because otherwise he won't have time. So I don't think it's going to be pole for LB today. Muhiti is currently in sector 2 at the moment. He was just 2 thousandths up in sector 1. Has he gained anything in the middle sector? To the sector line he comes. He's half a tenth up. It's nowhere near enough for pole, but it could be enough to unseat aces on the second row. Through the stadium section comes the Ferrari driver from Belgium. And gets a huge snap, though, at the penultimate corner. So easy to do. Hits the wall on the final corner as well. And that's going to be his qualifying session over, as well as the Mercedes of RJ, who peels in just behind him. As the two Williams now start their final runs as well. Jack Alacco and Lawrence out on track. Lawrence just starting his final attempt. Scott in the Haas also on a run at the moment. He's a long way down at the moment, but he said he would be. He said he was not having fun at this track, and he's 7.5 tenths down. Sumo out there in P12. Jonathan down in P11 in the meantime. But mighty close times in that bottom half of the standings. As Aces comes through sector 1 now, very wide on the exit, just about avoiding invalidating as he comes to the sector line. What's it going to be for the Haas driver? He's 1.5 tenths up, so in his challenge for pole position, but there's traffic ahead of him that could cause a problem. They're all diligently getting out the way, which is great to see, but it might have been a little bit of a distraction for the British driver. Lawrence as well is just behind him, coming through the middle sector now, getting past an AlphaTauri himself, but he's not improving, and Aces goes wide just ahead of him, so neither of them has been able to improve on this run. They're going to have one more effort at it, but that is all they're going to get. Jack Alacco, though, is currently on pole position, looking to improve just that little bit more to try and secure his place on the top, in the top place on the grid. Round sector 1 he goes, and DRS open down towards the end of sector 1. Is it going to be improvement for the Scottish driver? Let's see, only by 9 thousandths of a second as Scott bins it in the S's, so he's not going to improve in this session, but he may be encouraged to see that he's only 2 tenths off the pace. Hello Lapis in the chat, good to see you. As well, but Jack Alacco very wide there through that corner and really struggling as he tries desperately to push hard and improve, and he's round in the S's, so it won't be an improvement for the current pole sitter, so it's up to everyone else to beat him. Muhiti, Alex, RJ and LB all done in this session. Lawrence though into sector 1, he's nearly a tenth down already. He's going to need to find some of that in the last 2 sectors of the track, but he's got a Mercedes right ahead of him, and that is the Mercedes of Sumo, who is on a lap, so he has no obligation to get out the way. Lawrence could be in danger here with the traffic, and in fact he could be in danger just from the dirty air, because it's really going to affect him even at this distance, I would have thought. Through the S's comes the British driver. Is it going to be improvement in sector 2? Yes, by 2.5 tenths it still could be enough for pole, even with Sumo right ahead of him. The dirty air through sector 3 is going to be a trouble for Lawrence. What about Aces? We'll check on him once Lawrence finishes. A huge slide out the penultimate corner for the Williams driver as he comes to the line now, out the final corner. Is it going to be pole for Lawrence? No, the championship leader falls short. What about Aces? He's invalidated. Jonathan goes to P4. What an effort from him with no racing line. What about Robsu? He's half a second up in sector 2. This could be good enough for the top 7 for the Alfa Romeo Finnish driver. Round the final corner he goes, a little bit of a squirm on the exit. It's a 17.4 for him. I'm not sure where that put him. We're about to find out. 8th place for Robsu in the end. He'll be disappointed with that, but a tough track. And it's Jack Alacco who comes out on pole position with LB alongside him on the front row. Then it's the championship leader Lawrence in P3, and Jonathan joins him on the second row after a fantastic final effort in that session. Aces and Muhiti make up the third row, with Alex down in P7. Robsu in P8, just 3 thousandths behind him. RJ in P9, and his Mercedes teammate there with him on the 5th row. Crozer and JB make up the 6th row in the McLarens, and then Scott in P13, and Tier was not able to set a lap before his lock-up into the pits that ended his session. Very interesting quali session, so we'll see how the race shakes out. We've got 9 people watching. Hello, everyone. I'm assuming a fair amount of you are drivers. I believe that's your second pole in APP, says Jack. Oof. Well, congratulations, and we'll see if you can convert it into a win. The Williams have been flying in Tier 2 this season. Jacko and Lawrence both racing without the line to nerf them a bit. And both doing a fantastic job today so far, but as we know in Mexico, the race pace is very different, and it can often be a race of attrition at this circuit. So we're going to get underway for the formation lap. Rick is in the chat saying Jacko to celebrate his Tier 1 teammate's pole position here in Tier 2 with no racing line. As a fantastic lap from Jacko, I have to say. A 16.9. What did he do in Elite? Let's find out. Oh, he wasn't there for Elite. That makes sense. Right. It would have put him P5 in Elite. Tier 1 is 69, would have put him down in P9 or so, P9 or 10, but it's still a fantastic lap with no racing line from Jack Alaco, and hopefully he can convert it in this race. We will see. Most of the grid starting on the hard tyre, with Jacko, Jonathan and Sumo starting on the mediums. And Alex and LB opting for the soft tyre to start this race, so they're going to be hoping to make progress very, very quickly. LB's only got one car to clear, of course, and he might be able to do it into turn 1 and give himself a huge lead early on in this race. That will be his target, but we shall see how it goes. We know turn 1 at Mexico can be chaos sometimes. Often see cars going 4 wide going down towards turn 1 at this track, so we will see what happens. It's going to be a fascinating race start. Can Jacalaco hold on? Can LB get that P1 early on and run away with this race? We shall see. I'm wondering what his strategy is as well, whether he's going soft medium or going for the 2-stop. We will find out in just a few moments' time. So here we go. The Mexican Grand Prix in Tier 2 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights from starting. And when the game catches up, We're underway for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's a great start from LB on the soft tyres as expected, but Jack Alaco gets a fantastic getaway in the Williams from the front. They're going to be side by side going down to turn one. Lawrence gets the slipstream, make it sit 3 wide, heading down towards the first corner. Jacko's been absolutely swamped as Lawrence sweeps around the outside of his old teammate and gets ahead into the lead of this race on the hard tyre. What a start for him. Jack Alaco down 2 places. Everyone getting through cleanly though. Great start from everyone in tier 2 as LB looks to the inside of Lawrence down towards turn 4, and can he make the move stick? Yes he can. LB into the lead on the soft tyres. Jonathan, there's someone's going down. That's Muhiti going down positions in the Ferrari. Not sure what's happened to him. There's a McLaren of Crozer as well all the way to the back of the grid. Not sure what's happened there. RJ and Scott fighting further back for position. Looks like RJ's taken it for now, but it's LB who leads by a considerable distance already as he stretches his legs on those soft tyres, with the 2 Williams following behind in 2 and 3, and Jonathan following them in P4. Very good job from him to stay with them, and he's looking to the inside of Jacko in the stadium section, but thinks better of it. He's going to have Alex, though, for company, who's on the soft tyres in that Aston Martin, looking to mount a challenge on the AlphaTauri, who has a big moment on the exit, the final corner. LB with the fastest lap, unsurprisingly. We're going to see who's gained the most positions. Scott and Tier both up 3, and then Muhiti and Crozer both with disaster starts. But it's the 2 Williams now side by side heading into turn 1, and Alex sends it down the inside of Jonathan as well, just behind them, and that's a great move on both cars counts. Alex up to 4th, Jacko back up to 2nd after his after he got absolutely swamped heading to turn 1. Alex is looking for another place here. He sends it around the outside late on the brakes on Lawrence. Lawrence though has the line and forces Alex wide, and now Jonathan's trying to get involved as well as they head down towards the next corner. There's contact as Alex sends it on Lawrence. Jonathan trying to take advantage but can't do anything about it. Jacko allowed thanks to this battle to pull a 1.3 second gap to his teammate. Jonathan still trying to fight the Aston through the S section. Ace is trying to take advantage as a result as they go down towards the stadium, and now Robsu with a double overtake. What a move from the Finn on the hard tyres, gets it stopped as well. Incredible stuff from Robsu, but he's been hit by Aces heading into the stadium section, and Aces with a bit of a moment on the exit. Thankfully they've both gotten through okay. I don't know if Aces has damage, but it was his own fault if he does, and that's Sumo round in the background at the final corner. He's going to have to get himself back on circuit. That's such a shame for him, but LB leads by 1.6 seconds in these early stages of the race. On the soft tyres, Alex trying to make more progress on those soft tyres. He wants to bolt just like LB at this stage, but he's not able to do it for now. Jack Alaco and Lawrence still 2 and 3. What a season they're having, but we're only on lap 3 of 36. Plenty of time to go in this race, but what a move that was from Robsu in the Alfa Romeo. Incredible stuff, I have to say. That is one of the moves of the season for sure. And I'm really looking forward to watching his progress for the rest of this race. Sumo exits the pits. He's gotten a new front wing, and this race has not gotten off to a good start for my former commentary partner, unfortunately. Here comes Alex, though, to the inside of Lawrence with the DRS. Makes the move. Lawrence turns in aggressively, but they both make it through with a little bit of contact. Alex again tries to make the move on the outside, tries to switch back into the stadium, but that's not going to happen. And it's all this is allowing Robsu to close up, but Alex is going to have the DRS down towards turn 1 now, and this should be easily move done now for the soft tyre clad Aston Martin. And here we go, the Ukrainian driver to the inside. It's going to be done before the braking zone, and Alex is up to P3. He's had a torrid time as of late with races. He's always been great in qualifying this season as the newbie, but his races, his first couple of races went great, and then after that, it's been a torrid time for him, so I'm really hoping he can get a good result today, and those soft tyres are helping him do exactly that at this early stage. But remember, he's going to have to commit to either a soft hard, a soft medium, or a 2-stop in this race. Well, I'm interested to see if anyone tries it. It's certainly more fun to do a two-stop at this track, I will say. But whether it's faster, we will have to find out. Lawrence gets a 3-second time penalty, the first of the evening for track limits. And I guarantee you, everyone, that is not going to be the last track limits penalty that we see today. That 4 of 36. There's plenty of people here as well driving with no line, so it's extra difficult for them to keep it on the circuit. But Jonathan doing a fantastic job at the moment in his AlphaTauri, P5 on those medium tyres, but he's under pressure from Robsu now as the Alfa Romeo driver is going to have the DRS down towards turn 1. He's not going to be close enough on this occasion, but or is he? Here he comes with the DRS. He's not even using any ERS. Doesn't send it to the inside, but the closing speed was insane there. He was 9/10 behind at the start of that straight. I think Jonathan's running a higher downforce setup than the Finn, who tries to use ERS now. He's got the DRS as well. Looks to the outside of the AlphaTauri down towards turn 4, and he's going to make that move, I think. Jonathan looks to the inside, gets his nose in, but surely is going to be crowded out around the outside. No, he gets a great exit, in fact, and Robsu has to send it down the inside for the double right-hander. There's more spin further back as Scott's around now in the Haas, but Robsu's still unable to make that move. Brilliant defending from Jonathan in the AlphaTauri. This is allowing Aces and RJ to close up to this battle as well. But the Haas driver with a bit of a mistake. Robsu with a bigger mistake, though, on the exit of the S's, but keeps it together. Both of them keeping their cars pointing in the right direction. And Aces is going to come under threat from RJ very, very quickly here. Tier, by the way, up to P9 after he crashed in qualifying. He's doing a good job in that Red Bull. He was runner-up last season in Tier 2. This season has not been as good for him, unfortunately. But he's making good progress in this race after a unfortunate qualifying mistake. JB, though, on his tail as Robsu looks like he's finally made that move on Jonathan. DRS down towards turn 1, and Aces might make it a double move, and he nearly goes down the inside of Robsu. There's contact between him and Jonathan as they go through. Jonathan gets the switch back, though, round the outside of the Haas. There's a bit of wheel-to-wheel banging, but Aces loses the place to RJ as a result. Jonathan keeps P6, but he's going to come under all sorts of pressure from these hard tyre runners in these following laps. But no, not from RJ, because RJ spun it and he's into the wall, and no front wing on the Mercedes driver. He's going to be gutted as the American was driving so well, and in fact he's brought out a safety car. It's great news for his teammate who can get himself back in the race. Both Mercedes in fact can get themselves back in this, as well as Scott, but a safety car as Crozer gets a 5-second penalty that he's not going to be able to get rid of. Unfortunately, he's going to have to serve that in the pit lane. That was for overtaking RJ, I think, even though he had no front wing, so that's a very harsh penalty. But he will have to serve that in the pit lane as LB now is able to come in for fresh tyres. Those on the softs, this has worked out perfectly for them, as they can pit for fresh tyres. Lawrence stays out on the hards. Who else on the hards is going to stay out? Pretty much everyone. Robsu's staying out as well. Aces into the pits, though, for presumably a set of the mediums. JB in as well, and a few others. Tier staying out. Alex in for the mediums, as you would expect. LB also in for the mediums. I'm surprised at people staying out. They're going to be under a lot of pressure on those old hard tyres compared to the new mediums. Jonathan staying out on the mediums is certainly one of the decisions of all time. But we'll see how it works out for him. There's a bunch of drivers you can see on the sidebar, all on fresh mediums now. Lawrence, of course, not really with much choice but to stay out due to the double stack with his teammate. But stay out he has, and he's now leading the race with Jacko down in P8. He's lost a place to Scott, so there's a car between him and LB, which he's not going to be too pleased about. But that is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes when you have these safety car pit stops, as everyone catches back up to the pack. And we should get going at the end of lap 8, I would have thought, as everyone follows in under the safety car. A fairly clean first stint, I have to say, and a fairly clean turn 1, 2 and 3 as well from Tier 2. It was a great job from the drivers. It's a bit of argy-bargy in that first stint between a few drivers, but I don't think anything too bad. I think it's been a pretty good start so far to this Mexican Grand Prix. And Lawrence leading from Robsu, from Jonathan in the AlphaTauri, and then in fact the defending champion Jonathan, as Scott comes into the pit, so removes the car between Jacko and LB, as Jonathan and Muhiti swapping places, and I think that's caused some safety car shenanigans, unfortunately, which is not ideal. I expect a 5-second penalty to show up next to Jonathan's name in a moment's time. Given by the game, perhaps, maybe not. Maybe not. I think maybe they've gotten away with it. As Sumo pits again for a set of the fresh medium tyres. So he's going to be doing a 2-stop here. The mediums won't make it to the end from here. 28 laps is not happening, guys. So anyone on the mediums now, it's going to be a 2-stop for them. Lawrence, Robsu, Jonathan, Muhiti and Tier all hoping that they can do a 1-stop in this race. But we'll have to see if another safety car comes out and shakes things up. But it seemed like a very soft safety car just for RJ's loss of a front wing into the wall there, but we do not question the ways of Codemasters EA. Looks like we might be out for another lap under the safety car, because Sumo's still in the first sector at the moment as the safety car comes into sector 3. So we'll be getting going at the end of lap 9 by the looks of things. But all 14 drivers still in the race for now. And we've seen plenty of action so far. We are sure to see more as we've got all these drivers on fresh mediums lining up to try and pass those on the old hards, and one on the old mediums as well. Jonathan, who's going to be finding himself a sitting duck here as he passes Robsu under the safety car, which is, I mean, very interesting. I'm not sure why he's done that. Probably because the game told him to. Because Robsu had fallen back a little too far from Lawrence. But that doesn't mean you can overtake under the safety car, just because the game tells you you can. So we'll see what happens there, if anyone's going to get a 5-second penalty next to their name. Doesn't look like it. I think everyone's gotten away with that, thankfully. Scott into the pits again, Sumo into the pits again as well. What's it going to be this time for Sumo? It's going to be another new front wing for the Mercedes driver. So I think he tried to replace his front wing in the last pit stop, maybe, and they didn't replace it. The words "change my wing" come to mind. Only some of you will get that reference. So he might even be out until the end of lap 10 here, unless the safety car cruelly decides to cut Sumo off from the rest of the pack. It looks like Scott is going to be able to catch up in time, but Sumo might be left hanging out to dry here as he's coming to the end of Sector 1, pretty much carbon copy of last lap. And yeah, there we go, safety car in this lap. Even Scott might not catch up here. Sumo has unfortunately been absolutely shafted. He's going to be fuming in that cockpit. But Scott, I think, is going to be able to catch up. Yeah, there's the rest of the pack, so he'll be fine. But Sumo is going to be driving on his own for a while, unless there's another safety car to come to his rescue. But here we go, Lawrence coming through the last couple of corners in the stadium section, warming up those tyres as he prepares to go for it. When's he going to punch it? The safety car's in, so he can choose when to go for it. Lawrence out the last corner, he's gone. Is anyone going to lose the car on the exit of the last corner? No, but Jonathan is trying to make a move on Robsu in the last corner here. The AlphaTauri driver getting a fantastic exit speed, but here comes Robsu with the straight line speed of that Alfa Romeo. Here he comes, ERS deployed, but he can't make the move on Lawrence down towards turn 1. But Lawrence goes very, very deep, and that could invite Robsu to go around the outside, maybe a switchback on the exit. It doesn't look like it. Lawrence just about getting it together as LB makes his first move on those fresh mediums, getting past here up to P5. Tier's not done yet, though. He looks to the outside, but can't brake late enough to make the move. Alex tries to brake late enough to go down the inside, and now Jacko's down the inside of him. They're side by side through the middle sector. Jacko to the inside of the double right-hander, just as Alex tried to do to Jonathan earlier in this race, and Jacko's made the move by the looks of it. Alex has to back out. Great stuff from the Williams driver as Robsu losing a ton of positions. He's round in the S's. Oh no, what a shame for the Finnish driver. And he's going to have to get himself back ready and starting again. Jack Alacco trying to make a double move on LB round the outside. LB forced him off the track. Tier trying to make another move again, but Jacko ran down the inside. Tier's got aces to his inside as well. What brilliant racing this is. Lawrence has a 2-second lead. Someone's round. That's Jonathan in the AlphaTauri, as well as a Ferrari in the pit lane. That's Muhiti. VSC has been deployed. I'm not sure what happened there, but there was definitely contact, whatever it was. Robsu, Jonathan and Muhiti all into the pits for fresh tyres, but they're going to be frustrated with how that's turned out. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but Jack Halacco has gotten himself ahead of LB in spectacular fashion. Brilliant move it was from the Scottish driver, and he's up to P2, but he's going to come under pressure once DRS is enabled again. If he can't catch up to his teammate in that time. Aces coming to blows with Tier there as well, but the Red Bull managing to hold position. He's still in P5 on those 10-lap-old hard tyres, doing a good job for now, and he is on the one stop, but all of these guys all have to stop again. The mediums won't make it to the end. So we shall see how it pans out. But Muhiti, Robsu, Jonathan and Sumo well back from the pack. Green flags, and Aces makes a brilliant move under the VSC restart on Tier. Catches the British driver sleeping, and Tier now trying to make a re-overtake on JB after getting mugged at that green flag. He's round the outside of the McLaren driver. It's going to be the inside for the stadium section. He locks up, and maybe a bit of wheel banging between the two. Tier's going to lose out to the other McLaren as well of Crozer, who sends it to the inside and makes the move. Again, a bit of wheel banging, but no harm done. And now RJ might make Tier's lap 11 into 12 even worse here, as here he comes down towards turn 1. They're 2 by 2. LB making it past Jacko as well in the meantime into turn 1, but we turn back to these guys because it's all 4 within a telephone box as RJ makes the move on the McLaren. 2 places for the Mercedes, up to P7 after his crash just a few laps ago. And he's looking for more progress here on Crozer, the man who finished P4 in the standings last season. Here comes the Mercedes driver, sends it to the inside and makes the move. Brilliant stuff from RJ, up to P6 in that Mercedes. And it's Aces now is the next target, 1.6 seconds up the road. Hello Ash in the chat. Unfortunately Sumo not doing too well. He got absolutely shafted by the safety car if you're just joining us. LB with a 3-second time penalty now, and that's very, very significant as RJ went very wide in the S's but got away with it, as Scott now the latest to make a move on Tier, up to P9 for the Haas driver, as Tier on those 11-lap-old hard tyres really, really struggling now, unfortunately. And now Lawrence is going to be struggling because he's got LB, Jacko and Alex for company, and Aces as well just behind. And yeah, you were watching his POV. That's such a shame for Sumo, but here comes LB with the DRS. This should be a simple pass on his old teammate. Lawrence looks to defend the inside, and there's a bit of wheel banging as they break for turn 1. A bit of contact between these two, no love lost, but it looks like LB is going to make the move. He forces Lawrence off the track on the exit. Jacko makes the move on his teammate as well and looks to try and make a move on LB for the lead as well. Round the outside he looks on the Alfa Romeo. LB covers him off. Jacko tries for the switchback. It's going to be a double switchback attempt from the Scotsman, but he can't quite make it work, and he has to stay in P2 for now. Alex has gotten his way past the other Williams as well for P3. Aces is the next one, just behind Lawrence, who's going to try and make his way past, but yeah, Lawrence really struggling. Those 12-lap-old hard tyres, no match for the 6-lap-old mediums at this stage. And Lawrence with a mistake out the S's is going to give Aces an opportunity to the inside for the Haas driver. He looks to make the move. Jacko looks to make the move on LB as well, but has to back out. Can Aces make the move on Lawrence? Yes, he can. Lawrence off the track on the exit, but Aces is ahead up to P4, and it's these top four now fighting it out, as Lawrence, I think, is going to drop off very quickly on those old hard tyres, but he is going to have this DRS for a shot at staying with them on this lap at least. He's going to use the ERS as well, as here comes Jacko, his teammate on the race leader. Round the outside of LB goes the Scottish driver. Crozer making a move on RJ in the background there as well in the McLaren, and Jacko into the lead of this race. LB coming under pressure. Jacko, Alex and Aces, the only ones in this top group not to have a track limits penalty, as Sumo now gets one at the back as well for his troubles. And now RJ looking to make a move again on Crozer. He's got no ERS left. Crozer's got plenty in the tank, but RJ with the switchback is going to look down the inside of the double right-hander. Crozer leaves him just enough room to fit his car there, and RJ spun it, trying to get the exit to make the move, and a bit of an error there from the American driver, and he's back down to P10, unfortunately, in this race, as Tier gets his way past. Still on the one stop, but I think those who stayed out definitely made an error here, but Lawrence has managed to stay with the medium runners to his credit. He's still got the DRS, and sooner or later those mediums are going to start dropping off, and Lawrence will be back in this race, but he's got to try and stay with them to give himself the best shot, and he has got DRS again. He's going to really struggle on the exit, the last corner. There we go, look at that, 2/10 lost just on that exit, but here comes Aces now on the Aston Martin. They've both got DRS, as does LB on Jacko, but he's far too far back. That was a great lap from the Scottish driver to gap LB by that much. But it wasn't enough to drop DRS, as the two McLarens now swap places. JB up to P6 as they continue their charge up the field after a poor qualifying. And now Aces again around the outside of Alex, looking to make another move as the Haas driver, but he can't quite do it, as they both go a bit deep into the next corner, turn 5. But both of them getting away with that into the double right-hander, and still in one piece. Lawrence now has dropped out of the DRS range, but if these two continue fighting, he might get back in it, but not if he makes mistakes like that. Those tyres really starting to bite on that Williams as he goes through the S's, 1.2 seconds back for the championship leader, and he's in a tough spot here because he's going to start falling back into the McLarens if he's not careful. We've got yellow flags. That's RJ off in the S's, unfortunately. Doesn't look like he's taken any damage, but he's really struggling on this circuit, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that as the race progresses, because the grip on this circuit is absolutely shockingly bad, as RJ, I think, letting people through. I think he's about to retire from this race, perhaps in the pit lane. Aces, though, trying to make this move, DRS open on Alex, but the Aston with the DRS as well, and Aces, not much he can do, as LB now fights to try and make the move on Jacko. They've both got about 40% ERS, but here comes LB. Look at the closing speed. Jacko defends to the inside, then chooses the outside. LB goes to the inside, sends it down the inside. Can he make the move? No, he can't. He tries to get the switch back, but Jacko keeps the place. Masterful defending from the Williams driver. He has been on fire with his defending this season, defended from LB as well last week, in a masterstroke to try his best to give his teammate the win. It wasn't quite enough due to Lawrence making a mistake in the end, but without that mistake, Jacko would have single-handedly won his teammate the race last week. And this time he wants the race win for himself. Still no 3-second time penalty on that Williams. And neither is there one on Alex, as someone's dropping positions. I'm not sure who that was. I think it's Scott who's gone round in the stadium section. No front wing on the Haas, unfortunately. And we've got another safety car in this race. And it's a disaster for Jacko, as he's just gone past the pit lane. And the safety car's right ahead of him. And Jacko has been absolutely shafted here. Nothing he could do about that. That was the worst possible timing. Everyone behind him has been able to dive into the pit lane. LB, Alex, Aces, all onto the fresh tyres. Alex onto the hards until the end here, as he's got no choice. That's the only tyre he's got other than the softs. And the softs definitely won't make it. As I say, that tier straps on a set of the soft tyres for another stop before the end of this race for sure. This is going to allow the likes of Sumo back into the race though, as well as RJ, who's been having a torrid time, and Jonathan and Muhiti will be back in the race as well after their woes at the safety car restart, as well as Robsu in the Alfa Romeo. But yeah, Jack Alaco, so unfortunate there. He's got no choice but to stay out. I really don't think coming in is an option. He's going to lose so many positions, but then he's going to lose the positions anyway with the old tyres. So what is he to do? He has been so unlucky here with this safety car timing. As he comes through the stadium section, what is the Scottish driver going to do? LB has caught up to him already, and here we go. We're about to find out what his decision is. Does he come in? Does he not? He's going to be biting his nails, and yeah, looks like he's about to come in. Very careful not to pass the safety car by accident, but he's decided he's got to come in. He's going to lose so many positions, so undeserved. He's driven a fantastic race so far, but at the halfway point, he has been mugged by an unfortunate safety car timing. Tier's come in again for presumably another set of the medium tyres to the end. That is exactly what he's done. Jacko onto the hards to the end in the meantime, as he was in the same situation as Alex, and comes out the pit lane. He's going to be P8 is the Scottish driver, and he's got a lot of work to do. He's going to be fuming with himself. Well, no, not with himself, with the safety car. He's done nothing wrong, and he finds himself all the way down in 8th place after leading much of this race, and through no fault of his own whatsoever, or anyone else's fault. Just a really unfortunate safety car timing, and well, he's got a lot of work to do. He's going to be hoping for another safety car, as RJ pits again for another fresh set of medium tyres to the end of this race. And most people on the same tyre now. Alex and Jacko, the main exceptions. Sumo as well on 6-lap-old hards towards the back, but everyone else on fresh-ish mediums. There's LB who leads, but with that 3-second time penalty, he's going to have some work to do, and those mediums are really going to start to struggle in around 10 laps time. That's when the hards come into play. Presuming there's not another safety car in this one. So decisions, and he's got to make sure that he pulls a gap to Alex, and he doesn't come under threat from Aces, because that's going to be his main threat here. If he comes under pressure from Aces, that's going to cause them both to lose time, and it's going to mean Alex will catch them back up towards the end on the hard tyres, which will be much better after 14-15 laps or so. And it's going to be tricky for him. Jacko into the pits again in the Williams. He's going to put on a set of mediums that are 6 laps old. I don't think he's thought that through. I think he thought he had fresher mediums than that, and as he didn't want to go on the hards. He's lost another 5 positions from doing that, and he's on 6-lap-old mediums. They are really going to struggle to make it to the end, folks. That's going to be 24 laps or so on the medium tyres. Is not ideal at all. I don't think he's completely thought this through, and he's going to be in a torrid position here. But again, it's nothing of his own fault. He's just been so unlucky with the safety car. He's rolled the dice to try and put the mediums on now, lose a few more positions, but forgotten that they're used as much as they are. And he's going to find himself in a tough spot towards the end of this race, unless another safety car comes out and throws a spanner in the works. Looks like everyone's going to have the opportunity to catch up this time. The safety car is in this lap, but RJ's in the S's, so should be able to catch up before we get going. LB is the race leader, as he looks for his second win in a row, his third win of the season it would be, as he chases a third Tier 2 title, despite being last in the time trial leaderboards after sign-ups. But he claims he wasn't sandbagging. But anyway, LB in the final sector now in the Alfa Romeo. What can he do? When's he going to punch it? Is he going to try and catch Alex off guard? Yes, he is. He's gone before the final corner, but he's got a bit of a snap on the exit, and Alex is going to have an opportunity here. Jacko gets a 3-second time penalty, and just adding to his woes in this race. Here comes the Aston Martin, though. He's going to send it. He's going to go round the outside down towards turn 1. Aces and Lawrence trying to go wheel to wheel further back as well, but Alex around the outside is going to try for the switchback on the exit of turn 1. What about turn 2 and 3? Can he make a move on the exit here? No, he can't, and he's going to have to settle for P2, but gave LB a scare there at the restart after a mistake from the Alfa Romeo driver at the final corner, allowed Alex to close in towards turn 1. But no move being made as Tier makes it past Robsu. Jacko makes it past Sumo in the background as well. Jacko makes it up past loads of people, and well, that is exactly why he's gone off. And well, I mean, that definitely would have been overtake of the season if it was legit. I think he's been told to let RJ back through for an illegal overtake, and I mean, his race has gone from looking absolutely incredible to suddenly it's looking like an awful day for him. It's so unlucky. He's done nothing wrong. But he's going to be hoping for another safety car for salvation in this race towards the end. But Alex still just about in DRS range of LB, but he's really going to struggle to stay there before it turns on next lap. And he won't even have it towards turn 1. Here comes Aces, though, putting the pressure on the hard tyres and the hard tyre-clad Aston Martin. Lawrence stays further back. We've got another spinner further back. I'm not sure who that is, but Alex and Aces side by side through turns 1, 2 and 3. Aces with a 3-second time penalty on the exit. Alex still has nothing to his name. Here comes Lawrence, though, going for a double overtake down towards turn 4. Down the inside, it's 3 wide in turn 4. Alex has to back out. He's forced to. Lawrence is forced off the track on the exit by Aces. Alex goes to the inside. Was there contact there? Yes, there was, and Alex is round. I don't think that was much to do with Lawrence. I think Alex just put his nose where it didn't belong, and he's all the way down to P11 on those hard tyres now, and it's all come unstuck for him and Jacko in this race. He's got a long way to catch back up, and LB, once again, the luck falls his way, and he is running away with this race now. Lap 21 of 36, he's 2.2 seconds ahead of Aces. All of the top 3 have a time penalty. JB and Crozer, by the way, are 4th and 5th. What a showing from the McLarens after a very poor qualifying. They have just been quietly making their way up the grid in this race, and JB and Groza now running 4th and 5th. What a race this would be for them if they can keep together. Teammate down towards turn 1. Not much of a fight put up by JB by design, I think, and Scott is about a second behind them, but by qualifying pace I wouldn't expect Scott to stay with them, although actually the McLarens had a terrible qualifying, didn't they? So we will see. Tier just behind Scott as well. Robsu trying to make moves in the Alfa Romeo just behind, and Jonathan and Muhiti are there as well. So many drivers have had an up and down topsy-turvy race today, but all except LB, who's just been at the front the whole time. Nothing's gone wrong for him, and now he leads this race by 2 seconds from his nearest rival. As everyone piles through the Aces, Jonathan, Muhiti, Robsu, Tier, Scott, JB, Crozer and Lawrence and Aces all in this huge train as Muhiti with a send to the inside of Jonathan. Jonathan's going to be fuming about that one because he was forced off the track. Muhiti goes wide, and in the stadium section there's more wheel banging as they go through. Extremely aggressive driving from the Ferrari. Jonathan is not going to be pleased as he looks to the inside of Muhiti now down towards turn 1, but look how much time they've lost. Muhiti's He's lost the DRS as a result, and Jonathan's going to sail by with no problems at all. I think Muhitti's architect of his own downfall there as the McLaren swap places again. Someone's gone round, I think that was Alex in the Aston Martin. No grip on those hard tyres at this stage for him, and it's all gone pear-shaped for him and Jacko in this race, unfortunately for them, as now Lawrence round the outside of Aces down towards turn 4. All this battling is just losing them time to LB, and Aces stays ahead anyway, so you have to wonder if Lawrence made the right decision there to go for the move. But they have broken off the two McLarens while they've been battling, at least. But 2.5 seconds now to LB as they file through the S's. Lawrence again with the DRS, but he can see the flashing red light. That's why he's keen to make the move on the Haas. But he's going to have the DRS down towards turn 1. He will make the move easily there. So he's just got to be patient in that Williams and then chase after his rival this season, LB, his old teammate in the Alfa Romeo. 2.7 seconds now is the gap. It was down to 1.9 before all that tussle between these two, and now Lawrence sails by with the DRS, and you have to wonder, why didn't he just wait for that in the first place? But now the two McLarens swapping places once again. They've been doing that a fair few times. Working together very, very nicely they are. Alex now round again by the looks of it in the Aston Martin. Into the pits he comes. I think this could be an early retirement for the Ukrainian driver. It has not been a good day for him. So yeah, there it is. He is retired from the session. He has had a horrible, horrible season after the first two races. He won in Monza. It was a spectacular win in the final corner of the Grand Prix. It was a brilliant performance, but ever since then, nothing has gone right for him. And it really is such a shame, because he's a very good driver. It's clear to see. But it just hasn't come his way this season, as LB still leads this one by 2.5 seconds from Lawrence, who has now gapped Aces by a second. Can he stay out of DRS range? It's going to be close at the DRS detection point. I think Aces did get the DRS though, so he could be under pressure, could Lawrence, down towards turn 1. Crozer's there as well, only 1.2 seconds behind, but he's got 6 seconds worth of penalties now. 6 seconds as well for Jonathan, 3 for RJ Muhitti and Sumo, and 13 for Jack Alacco, who I think 10 of those are just for a generic 10-second penalty for cutting the corner when he had to let everyone through, which is a real shame. I mean, you cannot get much unluckier than how Jacko's been this race. It's so, so unfortunate for him. There's now JB with the DRS down towards turn 4. Not going to make the move on his teammate on this occasion, as they try and catch up to those top 3. Aces is just about within range of Lawrence, but look at this, the gap's coming down to LB Racing. Lawrence 2.1 seconds behind. It was over 2.5, 2.7 it was just a couple of laps ago, so the gap is coming down. Lawrence catching the race leader here, but Aces is going to try and foil him and make a move here at the end of the DRS zone, and he's surely going to have the DRS into turn 1 and make the move there, unless he goes that wide in the stadium section. A move between RJ and Jonathan further back, but we've got to stay on board with these two, because Aces is going to have the DRS down towards turn 1. Another mistake from Lawrence. He seems to be struggling on those tyres now. I'm not surprised. They're already 9 laps old, and they still got another 11 laps to do on them. Here comes Aces now. DRS open to the inside of the Williams driver. Should be able to make this move fairly easily, and does. Scott, in the meantime, making a move on JB down the inside for P5. They're still side by side as they go through, but JB's got no ERS left in the tank. Scott makes the move. Brilliant stuff from the Haas driver. And now Tier trying to find his way past the McLaren as well, and does. Look at this. JB with no ERS left. He's got very little pace in that McLaren at this stage. And now Robsu's trying to make the move as well, trying for the switchback, as Scott makes a move on the other McLaren up to P4 for the Haas driver, who's finally looking for a good race here after he's it's all come unstuck for him the last couple of laps. several weeks in a row now. Tier makes a move on the other McLaren. The two McLarens just dropping like flies here. 6th and 7th now they are. And now Robsu's going to try and make a move as well as JB with a huge error. And Robsu with lightning fast reactions to avoid him. Brilliant stuff from the Finn. But Crozer and Tier side by side now. And now Robsu trying to make a move on the other McLaren again. Makes the switch back but can't quite get the move done in the stadium section. And has to settle just behind them. But what a move from Scott. What a brilliant reaction time from Robsu. A huge error from Tier as he comes back onto the track after nearly spinning out at the exit the final corner. He's got no DRS, he's got no ERS. Gets swamped by Robsu and Crozer. And Robsu trying to make another move on the McLaren here. Down the inside into turn 1. He's been making some incredible moves today in that Alfa Romeo as they look to continue their Constructors' Championship charge. Against the Williams. There's a Mercedes nearly round in the background. That was RJ who lost the place to Jonathan, and now Robsu can't quite make the move on Crozer into turn 4, but he's going to have another go later on. He will have the DRS. Crozer won't have it. Scott is too far ahead already. He is flying in that Haas, and now Aces is chasing after LB. Look at this, 1.5 seconds is the gap. Lawrence has fallen way off those top two, and Aces looks like he has some really good pace at this stage of the Grand Prix. Tier looking for a move on Robsu. He uses the ERS. He's got nothing left in the tank though, and he's going to look to the inside but doesn't send it, and Robsu survives. And now he's going to be looking after Crozer, who goes a bit wide there, but so does Robsu. RJ with another 3-second time penalty to his name in the Mercedes as they come around the final corner. Robsu with a bit of a mistake though on the exit. That could open the door for Tier. It's certainly going to make his quest to get past Crozer a lot more difficult. I think people really starting to struggle on these medium tyres now. Tiers are the youngest of the lot in this pack, other than RJ, who's also on 10-lap old tyres, as Robsu looks briefly to the inside of Crozer into turn 1. Can't make the move, but we know how strong the straight line speed of that Alfa Romeo is today. Here he comes, DRS open. It's surely going to be making the move into turn 4. Dummies to the inside and sends it on the brakes. Crozer keeps it around the outside though. He's going to have the inside for the next corner. Robsu though gets the better drive on the exit, but it's Crozer who stays ahead. Brilliant stuff from the McLaren, and Robsu is going to have to try and get a better sector 3 here to try and get a better run down towards turn 1, because otherwise he's got no chance of making this overtake. He's definitely running a lower downforce setup than the McLaren because he's struggling in the corners but so much faster in the straights. As they head down towards sector 3, and RJ is round in the Mercedes. Down to P11 he goes. Disaster for him as Jonathan and JB now side by side again. Jonathan forced wide. It's deja vu for him at that corner as he's wide again, trying to make an overtake, or well, last time he was defending, but still. But he remains P9 for now as they all file through down towards turn 1. Crozer, Robsu stayed a lot closer to the McLaren this time. DRS open, this should be job done. Easy pickings for the Finnish driver. He's up to P5 and continues his charge. 3 seconds up the road to Scott. Wouldn't bet against him making up those 3 seconds at this rate, as he's going to have the DRS on the exit as well, thanks to the double DRS zone. And Crozer's going to be mugged here by Tier as well on the exit, because the Red Bull has the double DRS. Here he comes around the outside of the McLaren driver. They're going to be side by side through, but it's roles reversed for Crozer. He was where Tier was last time when he went side by side through here, but this time he makes the move and keeps the place. Brilliant from Crozer defending, but he can't defend forever when he doesn't have the pace, and Tier is going to be looking to make this move. He's got no time penalties as well, does Tier. So he's in a great spot here as Aces continues to chip away at that gap to LB. 1.1 seconds. DRS open for Tier, but a mistake from Aces brings that gap down a bit once again. Tier looking to the inside but can't make the move quite yet. Can he do it in the stadium section? No, he's going to be a lot more sensible than that. Crozer's not going to have the DRS down towards turn 1, and he could get mugged by 3 cars here, especially with a mistake like that on the exit. Here comes the Red Bull, here comes the AlphaTauri, and here comes the other McLaren as they go down towards turn 1. Tier with the DRS should make this move really pretty simply. He saved up some ERS as well, so good job from him. But here comes Jonathan as well. Can he make a move on the McLaren? No, he can't, but he might be able to do something into turn 4. He's got no line, does the defending champion. But he's going to have the DRS, but Crozer with a better exit. And Jonathan, I think, might have to wait for a better moment to make that move. There's someone round that Sumo again in the final sector. Jacko into the pits, presumably for the fastest lap. It'll be soft tyres strapped to that Williams, and it is indeed. It's been such a disaster for the Scottish driver, but none of it his own fault at all. As now Jonathan still sticking with these two, is doing a great job so far in this race. Aces has dropped back again from LB this lap. It's back up to 1.4, 1.3 seconds. It's a real race of attrition between these two, as that gap is just teetering over the edge of DRS, but Aces can't quite get within that magical 1 second range. As the Mercedes comes out of the pits just ahead of them, Sumo's going to have to get some blue flags here and let them through at some point. But here comes Crozer now on the Red Bull, looking to make the same move he made as Robsu sails past Scott. Look at the straight line speed he's got. Such a low downforce setup on the Alfa Romeo, and he's up to P4. It's another fantastic performance from him. Despite things not going his way at points in this race, but he's made some fantastic overtakes and some brilliant reactions as well to avoid incidents. So he's up to P4 now. I think that's where his heroics will end in this race, because it's 8.5 seconds to the top 3. But what a performance he's had in this Grand Prix. It's not quite over yet. There still could be late drama in this one, but Robsu has really put on a show here. As now Jonathan still sticking with Tier and Crozer for now. Aces with another 3-second time penalty, and that's going to end his challenge on LB. He's got 6 seconds of penalties now. LB and Lawrence both have 3. And I think this is going to be another race win for LB Racing. Only 5 laps to go. But I can't see anything going drastically wrong for him unless there's a very late safety car in this race. Scott now, he's got the DRS. He hasn't given up on this P4 here. Just because Robsu has the lower downforce doesn't mean the DRS isn't still exceptionally powerful. And here comes Scott to the inside down towards turn 1. Can he make the move? Yes, he can. Brakes late, and it's a great move from Scott. Back up to P4 he goes, and Robsu is now under pressure from Crozer, who's caught back up to these two. And I think this battle is going to go on a little longer than this. As all of these time penalties, by the way, just want to point out, all of these time penalties this race, guess who doesn't have one? This man right here. Tier, somehow the time penalty master, doesn't have a time penalty at Mexico. I'm astounded. I really am. Fair play to him. Well done, Tier. I mean, it's not over yet, but still, he is doing a fantastic job out there. But there are still 4.5 laps left to go in this race. And those medium tyres aren't going to get any better as we see Crozer lock up into that right-hander into the stadium section. And Tier with a slide, Crozer with a slide on the exit there as well. I don't know if the McLaren driver got DRS there, so he's going to be under threat from Tier and Jonathan. And Jonathan's putting Tier under threat. A bit of wheel bang. That could have been an absolute disaster, but luckily they get away with it. Tier's still got some ERS left. Absolutely flies past that McLaren, and Robsu does the same to Scott. Back up to P4 for him. Jonathan as well making a move and tags the tyre of Tier as they go into turn 1, and Crozer tries to take advantage but gets squirrely on the exit, and Jonathan up to P7. But that could have been a real disaster at several points between Jonathan and Tier, but they've both just about gotten away with it, thankfully for them. But the championship leader, Lawrence, in P3. We've got a safety car. What? What is that for? It's for RJ. He spun at the final corner, and we have a late safety car in this race. And Aces, Lawrence and LB are going to be absolutely furious. It's only going to be out for one lap, so they have to make this decision. It will come in at the end of lap 34, no matter what. So they have to make a decision here. Is it worth pitting? LB coming in for the softs. Aces coming in for the softs. Lawrence staying out. Oh, it's too late now, Lawrence. He was thinking about it, but it's too late now. He's stayed out on the mediums. Robsu, what's he going to do in the Alfa Romeo? What's everyone else going to do here? Sumo getting a drive-through just to add insult to injury. Robsu stays out as well on the 17-lap-old medium tyres. And, well, they are going to be sitting ducks. And at this late stage, Robsu, what has he done? Why didn't he pit? Why did he not pit? Muhiti stays out as well. He's up to P4 as a result. P5, sorry, as he gets an illegal overtake on Aces out the pit lane. But Scott as well coming in for the soft. And Scott is a real contender for the race win here. Sumo with another drive-through penalty. What is going on there? But Scott, he's got no penalty to his name. He's on the fresh soft tyres. He's going to eat those medium tyre runners for breakfast easily. LB and Aces have penalties. LB 3 seconds, Aces 6 seconds. Scott here is in a fantastic position potentially to win this race, but he's got to catch up to the safety car because it's going to come in this lap. And he's only in Sector 2. The safety car is coming to the end of Sector 2 now, and it's going to announce it's coming in very shortly. Scott's going to be very close to whether he can catch up here. He's just coming to the start of the S's. Jonathan as well, and Tia, as well as JB, all in the mix, but they've got to catch up to the safety car before it comes in. It's in Lawrence's best interests here to get this going as soon as possible, but he's waiting. The safety car's got to come in first before he can punch it, but he's got to get this going quickly. Sumo's coming for the Inters. He has had enough in this race as here they go, down towards the final corner. Lawrence still taking his time, and he's allowed the soft tyre runners to catch up. Lawrence here, he's going to go as late as possible. He has gone. He's caught Robsu a little bit, but LB's here. It's raining as well. Did I see rain on the camera? I'm not sure, but here comes Aces down towards turn 1. We're going to get a grandstand finish here. 2 laps to go in the Mexican Grand Prix. Scott's under pressure from Tia as they both just behind Jonathan here down towards turn 1. There's a bit of contact, a bit of argy-bargy. LB getting past his teammate for P2 and now chases after Lawrence for the race win at this late stage. Aces down to P4 as he tries to make the move on Robsu, but can't quite do it. Sends it to the inside, though. There's contact as Jonathan is brake too late for turn 4. There's more contact. It is raining out there. This is absolutely astounding as there's no front wing on the AlphaTauri either. It's all gone wrong for him in this last stage of the Grand Prix. Just 1.5 laps left to go. What is going to happen here? No one can possibly call this race now. It is raining out there. It's not much, but it is raining. Scott up to P5, and he's now going to chase back after Robsu. He's going to have the clean air, unless Jonathan braked a bit too late here, but he's sensible, lets the McLarens through. He's going to be absolutely gutted with how this has transpired. That's why Sumo's gone for the Inters, by the way. He's seen the rain coming, and we're going to have one more final lap in this race. LB leads by 1.6 seconds. Here comes Aces down the inside of Lawrence. Robsu is just about there as well. Scott just behind the Alfa Romeo, but it's LB again who's somehow in the lead of this race with a sizable gap. Despite everything, he still leads this race. Thanks to Robsu not pitting mainly, I think, as now Aces gets past Lawrence into turn 1. It's the final lap of this Grand Prix. Who can call this? It's raining. Everyone's on fresh tyres apart from a couple of drivers. Scott making the move on Robsu for P4 now, and it's going to be P2 across the line because of the penalties in front of him. It could even be P1 if LB makes a mistake. Round they go, down towards the S's now. Robsu just getting eaten up How many more positions is he going to lose? He's got no penalty to his name. JB's right behind him through the S's, but can't make the overtake there. And everyone's grip is deteriorating in this last stage now, thanks to the rain. We've got everything happening in this last lap. Crozer's retired from the session. He's binned out on the final lap. LB, though, comes around the final few corners. After everything that's happened in this race, he has gotten the best of the luck, the best of the drive, and LB wins the Mexican Grand Prix. Aces finishes P2 on track, but it's going to be Lawrence P2, and it's going to be Scott at the end of it, who finishes in second place. Robsu manages to hold on for P4 somehow after all that. JB finishes in 5th, Aces in 6th, Tia in 7th, then Jonathan down in 8th with no front wing. Jack Alako retires across the line with Muhiti, who's somehow DNF'd before he's hit the line, but I think that his car definitely was all the way over the line there, so he will be classified wherever he's finished that race. I'm not entirely sure where, but we'll find out later on. Crozer will get classified as well, but down in P12, and RJ is going to be the last to finish, and oh my goodness me, what can I even say? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Scott given driver of the day by the game. I mean, I can't fathom beginning to choose a driver of the day of my own here at this stage. And, well, LB takes the win. It's going to be Scott on the podium in P2 and Lawrence in P3. But, wow, what an absolutely incredible end to that Grand Prix. Contact all over the shop. But it's somehow LB who comes away with the win again in this chaotic Grand Prix. He is gunning for this title. And there we go, it's LB who wins the Mexican Grand Prix, with Scott finishing a fantastic P2, just about losing out on the win. Lawrence finishes in 3rd, somehow gets a podium after all that. Robsu finishes 4th. I don't know how those guys on 20-lap-old mediums managed that, but they've done it. JB finishes P5, couldn't get Robsu at the end. Aces finishes P6, Tia P7, Jonathan in P8, RJ P9, and Jacko in 10th with the fastest lap. Muhiti, Crozo, and Sumo 1 lap behind, but I think Muhiti will get classified further up than that. And Alex, the only DNF of the race, Sumo with 66 seconds of penalties. That's great. But I mean, how can you even begin to describe that race? Right, let's get the podium sitters into the party for interviews. I mean, what is there left to be said about this race, honestly? Let's start a party. Right, stick around for interviews with LB, Scott, and Lawrence. Scott is in the party, just waiting for LB and Lawrence. LB's in the party, and I'm sure Lawrence will be joining in due course, so we'll get the interviews going. LB, I mean, for some drivers, that race went about as wrong as it possibly could have, but for you, just cruising at the front, how was that for you?
That was tense. I drove a bit differently than what I usually do. Usually I'm quite conserving with my ERS, but again I went for a setup that worked quite well in a straight line, as did Rob, so it seemed. And was just sort of, as soon as I was in second or third, anyone, I was just going to be overtaking this straight. I was just going to be holding that ERS down. I think at one point, for like one move, that wasn't even that important. I think I went from like 90% ERS to like 40%. So I was just trying to pick everyone off one by one. It seemed to work.
Yeah, well, it certainly did, but I mean, you could easily there. I think if it had been one lap later, you could have been in Jacko's position. So it's definitely a great drive from you. But do you feel just at least a little bit lucky that all that didn't happen to you?
Nah, you make your own luck in F1, and this is my equivalent to F1 because I can't get the actual thing. So. This is it. There was definitely luck involved. I think I was unlucky for Jackalacko. I was just there to be able to pit. I think he was just unfortunately too far ahead. 100%. If that didn't have happened for me, then it would have been a tough race. I don't know where I would have ended up, but I think other than that, I think I won it on merit.
Yeah. So, well, it was a great drive regardless. And tell us, I mean, the gap. In the driver's standings, there's 4 rounds to go now, and the gap should be you gained 6 points on Lawrence today, so the gap is going to be 2 points going into the last 4 races of the season. Robsu isn't that far behind either. How are you feeling about your championship prospects, and what about the upcoming tracks this season? How are you feeling about those?
It's weird. Like I wasn't too confident for Mexico, but it seemed to be all right when it came to the race. And there's been other races as well where I've not been too confident, but I seem to have done all right when it comes down to it. On the tracks at the moment that are coming up, I don't feel the best, but I've not done a lot of time, so I don't really know yet. But I don't really know. It seems to be a very unpredictable season, to be honest with you. But I'm still confident because I believe that Lawrence is awful wheel to wheel, so I'm just gonna beat him wheel to wheel whenever that's needed to be done. Strategy, I'll beat him there, and just on overall IQ, I'll beat him on that as well.
Well, that boy likes to run his mouth.
I'm back up.
Well, thank you to Max Verstappen for that interview there. I will move swiftly on to Scott, who finished a wonderful P2 today. I mean, how about that, Scott? It's been a couple of rounds now, maybe even 3, where you wish the race had ended a couple of laps earlier. But that one, if it had ended a couple of laps earlier, you wouldn't be speaking to me right now.
No, yeah. So funny story. I was practicing before. I managed to get online about an hour before the race, and then it was Marcus who gave me a setup, and it was like, oh, I practiced for this. And I couldn't. I was 2 seconds off the pace, and then I compared myself with Jamal's aces, and he said he's got. I mean, I was running 13, 17 wings in practice. I'm way off the pace. Jamal said, I'm running 36, 30 something. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe that's my issue. So then, but yeah, and then qualifying, I think I had a P4 in me in qualifying, but obviously I bottled it as usual. Invalidated span. And then in the race, I had pace throughout the race, but I think I overtook Crozer about 3 times and then binned it. And then the last time I binned it, I put it in the barrier, bringing out the second safety car. And then I think on the restart, on the third restart, I could have had. I'm quite disappointed I didn't give LB because I had no penalties, and another racer kind of went side by side on the restart, which lost me a couple of seconds. So, which to be fair, I probably avoided that carnage at the sector 2 because of that, maybe. So, trying to think of the positives, I suppose.
Well, I mean, in a race where you finish P2, it's not hard to think of the positives.
Yeah.
But is that, I think, your second podium in Tier 2?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if you're counting full races.
Yeah, after that one in Britain as well.
Oh yeah, Jonathan caught me on the last. Last couple of laps, didn't he? Yeah.
Well, I think onwards and upwards for you in this division. I mean, how have you been feeling the last few weeks? I know it's not quite gone to plan in the last couple of laps, quite a few times this season, but this time it seemed to work out for you. So how are you feeling about the upcoming tracks?
To be honest, I don't know what's next. So,
we've got Suzuka next week, then China, then Baku, and then Brazil to end off.
Brazil to end off, very good choice. Baku I quite like. I've never really spoke to anyone else who likes Baku apart from myself, and I'm usually it's one of the tracks that even through when I was struggling to find any sort of pace, I managed to find a bit around Baku. China and Suzuka, I don't think I've raced on this game yet, to be honest with you. So I'm not very confident. But I weren't very confident coming into Mexico, to be honest, and finished P2. So maybe that's the trick.
just say, "Oh, I'm going to finish last," and then you'll be on the podium. Well, great race, Scott, and congrats on your podium, and hopefully speak to you again before the end of the season.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Hopefully.
Well, we come finally to Lawrence, who finished in P3 on something like a bajillion lap old medium tyres compared to everyone on the softs at the end. Just how difficult was that, those last 2 laps?
It was awful. I just wasn't concentrating under the last safety car. I thought LB stayed out, but unfortunately stuck in its Sumo on the mini-Mac. And I didn't box. Once I went past the pits, I realised my mistake. I just had to make the best of a bad situation. I think, thankfully, what saved my bacon was, I think, the hustle and bustle behind allowed me just to keep a fairly decent gap to just stay on the podium. LB was lucky to slip past with me on such old tyres, but never mind.
Well, I mean, you're still leading the championship at the moment. 2 points is the gap going into the last 4 races of the season. How are you feeling about those last 4 races? Any good tracks for you? Are you feeling horrible about any? I know Baku has some history with you, but in Tier 2. But what are you feeling like for these last few rounds?
I think I'm gonna have to make some new history at Baku as well with LB. There's a nice wall barrier with his name on it.
Is that the one at turn 3 by any chance?
So Suzuka next week, is it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. Suzuka will probably be a challenge without racing line, but I think on the last game I went round Suzuka and I had like 90% worn tyres. I think I refused to pit, and I think they went on about 96 or 7% on the last lap, if I remember rightfully.
Yeah.
I'll try not to remember those races.
Puncture with half a lap to go.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Brazil will be good. Sorry, what are the other 2 tracks? Baku and
China are the other 2.
Okay, no, I'm quite confident around China. I fancy my chances around there, and I don't often big it up, but anyone but LB.
Well, I mean, you got Robsu not that far back as well, and if it weren't for his horrible luck today, I think Jacko would be right up there with you too. 4 rounds to go, anything can still happen, and I think the 4 of you definitely still well within a shot of this championship. So, well done, Lawrence, and good luck for the next few rounds.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully we can have a nice 4-way battle until the last race of the season.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, just like last season. But regardless, thank you all very much for watching. I think I've thought about driver of the day quite a lot, and I think it's got to go to either Scott or Robsu. So I think I'm going to sort of jointly give it to them, because Scott
I'll take
it. Scott finishing P2 in a race he wasn't confident for, and Robsu just with some outrageous overtakes that race. Trust me, guys, watch the stream back and watch Robsu. Absolutely brilliant he was today. So well done to everyone, but especially those two, and to LB, our race winner. So thank you everyone so much for watching. I will see you all next week for more Tier 2. We will be in Suzuka with 4 rounds to go in this thrilling championship. Goodbye.